Where were you on November 2nd? If you're a Louisville football fan, you were celebrating arguably one of the biggest wins in Louisville football history as the Cards finally get a win against Clemson in Death Valley. Nonetheless, we're excited to dive into all of the action tonight. We'll hear from you as well as get into our takeaways here on From the Pink Seats podcast. We'll dive into the film to see what changed with Louisville and what exactly it was defensively that Ron English dialed up to help Louisville propel itself over Clemson in this game. We'll get into the Sack King race. We'll get into game balls, some helmet stickers, as well as look at things around the ACC and get into the bye week for Louisville football. Vince Lococo, Jacob Lane, producer Keith. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Just sit me down and let me watch offensive linemen 20, 30 yards downfield running with a ball carrier to make a block. That just gets me so juiced.
These two guys look like Biggest Biscuit getting to the Louisville golf sale for the swinging game. From the Pink Seats podcast, Jacob Lane, producer Keith, Vince Lococo, we are back, and we are celebrating what is arguably, as I mentioned in the YouTube intro, one of the biggest wins in Louisville football history. The type of win that you bring a coach like Jeff Brom here for, type of win that he's known for and has had over the course of his career as a coach at Purdue and some of the other places that he's been along the way. But fellas, this is exciting as it gets. This is what we have been hoping for, just really kind of, I don't want to say emotionally kind of giving up, but not really thinking we were going to get to this point in the season where Louisville pulls off one of those big wins against one of the major teams on the schedule, number 11 ranked Clemson in Death Valley. I mean, you talk about college football game day, nobody picks Louisville. You talk about nobody nationally giving Louisville much of a chance. No matter how you slice it, Louisville came into this the complete underdog with very few giving them any shot to do anything besides just be competitive. They walk out of there, and as Dabo Sweeney said, they kicked our tail from start to finish. And that's exactly what Louisville football did. Nobody had it. Nobody had it happening. So all that to say, fellas, welcome, man. How we doing?
Great.
Fantastic. I've never been so happy to be so wrong in my life. But to the point you were talking about, like the thing that gave me hope, because Keith, pessimist Keith, blah blah blah. Yeah, he's
negative.
This is a Louisville podcast.
Negative.
So
Keith.
The first hint where I'm like, oh shit, Louisville's gonna do this. When I saw that perfect sweep on game day where it's just, I'm like, oh, they jinxed it. No, we got this. They're screwed.
Yeah. Whenever I text you guys too, at the same time, I saw the predictions and stuff, and I'm like, I oddly feel good about this. I mean, and I have multiple texts from multiple people that are Louisville fans that are like, I feel pretty good as well, which is weird because we're going to Clemson. It's like we shouldn't normally don't feel as good going into here. I mean, even with Lamar, it felt like we didn't, weren't that confident. I don't know. It was good. It's weird to put into words this victory. Up until the 30-second marker, I was like still questioning that we're going to win it.
Not enough points. That's what I just kept saying. Not enough points. We need more points. The whole second half, I'm sitting here in the room I'm in right now, watching the TV, just like fucking need more points. I need more points. This is not enough. Counting the 3 that we missed, counting the touchdown that got called back. I'm like, fuck, we need more points right now. Need it.
I mean, for them to minimize the mistakes that they have been making prior in these bigger games, the Notre Dame game, SMU game, I mean, there's just been times that, the penalties and things like that have gotten to us, man. The Miami game, it's just like I tweeted about it being a complete football game, and it really was for, offense, defense, and special teams. It was everybody showed up, everybody did their job, and, good things happen whenever you do that.
So it finally looked like, and you've heard it said different ways, but it really jumped out to me when Coach Saban was talking about it on game day, like how do you get ready for big games and things like that. And it was like, no, you just have to let your players know they're the ones who have to apply the pressure, not let the pressure be applied. And this was the first big game we played this season where it seemed like we were the aggressors and actually applied the pressure, except for the one drive where we just had the chickenest chicken shit play calling, like 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, when we're like, oh, let's milk this clock. And then we like try to run a trick play that goes fucking nowhere, and then just run into a pile of meat 2 more times and 3 and out. And I'm just like, oh no, we're not going to do it this way.
That's when I text you. I was like, Keith, no, positive vibes only. I'm not here for any of the negative. Positive vibes only. But fuck, man. I mean, that was a wild game from start to finish. I mean, it was truly wild. They owned the offensive line, man. I cannot, tip my hat to them enough. And the defensive line, both fronts. I mean, just absolutely ate on Saturday.
Well, the defense as a whole, just huge kudos all around. Like, one, where the fuck have you been? It's nice for the Louisville defense to finally show up.
Yeah.
And they not just showed up, they played damn near 2 games worth of defense. Clemson, to steal a page from Matt's stats, Clemson ran 101 offensive plays. That's insane.
Yeah. And the statistics bear out Clemson should have won this game in every single way imaginable. I mean, literally.
Oh, they had a Scott Satterfield stat board?
They did.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they pulled it off almost perfectly. I mean, you look at this: 31 first downs for Clemson, total yards 450 for Clemson, 366 for Louisville, 228 yards passing, 156 yards passing. I mean, shit, if I had told you that this was going to be the game where Tyler Shuck had the least impact and Louisville won by the amount of points that they did, you would have said, no way. I mean, he throws for 156 yards in this game, and they still walk out of there with a double-digit victory. Rushing slightly goes in the favor of Clemson, but yet I would argue that Isaac Brown had the much larger impact because his big run for a touchdown is what really probably made all of the difference in this game.
And Tyler, too, at the same time, running the football. Like, Tyler, that is something I talked about last week. I wanted more of is Tyler with the ability to pull the football. And, when he does have that ability to actually do it, I mean, you got to trust yourself with your legs at some point. And, I mean, shoot, man, we're however many games into the season now. It's like, what are we playing for? Like, I mean, he put everything out there. I cannot commend the stuff.
The real quick, Keith, the thing I'll say on him on this one is you look at his stat line, 156 yards passing, nothing spectacular. They didn't really have any massive big plays through the air. What I'll say, though, was this was a professional precision type of performance for him. The triple Ps is what I'll call it.
Go win the football game.
Because 0 touchdowns, that's fine. That's not great, but 0 interceptions is really the big thing to highlight here. He did not force anything in this game. He let what came to him running the football, for example, on the play where you're like, holy shit, he just did a flip and he's not dead. Like, what? No way. I was sitting here talking to my wife mid-conversation, cut her off, like, holy fucking shit.
I tweeted out that it was Paul Kerr 2.0 because it reminded me of Longest Yard whenever the old man ran and jumped into the end zone.
I love that. That. Comparison's not so great with Paul Cruz, but I love that.
Yeah, that's why we deleted it after. But, we went ahead and put it out there on the pod now.
That's right.
So I would take the performance against Clemson over what he did against Boston College. Like, okay, yeah, $150, no touchdowns, no interceptions, kind of lame, but you were safe with the ball and you didn't have any, what the fuck was that, interceptions? Yeah. Obviously, I would have preferred a game like Miami where he was slinging the ball all over the yard, but I credit to Clemson's secondary. They were fucking good. Like, we did not have dudes butt naked open like we did in other games. And it was I think professional is a good way of putting it, of just taking what the defense gave us. And then, Isaac Brown, can we just talk about the night play? Just how
sexy.
So I don't even know if it's a hot take. I think that might be an even more iconic moment than the Lamar leap, just because, one, you're directly taunting an opponent's mascot. Hilarious. 2, the opponent and the stature. It's Clemson. We've never beaten them before. We're on the road. And the build up, like, oh, the onside kick, the crowd's booing, they're throwing shit on the field, and to come out and immediately just put your foot on their neck and not give them a chance to breathe whatsoever, just beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
number 2 for me. You're not getting over the leap. I'm sorry, kid.
Yeah, but in terms of here, the leap is one thing, but in terms of celebrations, I will compare it more so to Andrew Johnson in 2011 against West Virginia, blowing the kisses after the pick six. That really is what I thought Isaac was going to go to when he landed in the
Remember Edgar Sosa back in the day licking his fingers and doing the eyebrow thing after hitting the 3-point shot?
I'm here for it. And the night was so it took him a second to kind of figure out what he was going to do. That was not, in my opinion,
double middle fingers would have been so funny if he just would have went right at it.
I would have been like, somebody tweeted us a reaction after the game, give Isaac Brown my salary. I would have been like, here, take it all, man.
Yeah, I would have been hammering the NIL fund to 502 circle on that one.
Iconic. But I love all of that. And I think surprisingly, the one thing I think you missed in this, the difference when you talk about this game was, especially with the secondary covering the way that they did, was 0 sacks from Clemson. 0 sacks on Tyler Shuck. This offensive line held together by glue and hope and prayer is what I literally, this combination here, I think it's the first time this combination was rolled out of Trevontae Sylvester, Michael Gonzalez, Pete Nigra, Renato Brown, and Monroe Mills at right tackle. The first time this group has really played like this, and they dominate. No sacks. They gave Tyler Shuck all day. When they did struggle, Tyler Shuck was able to make moves and get out of the pocket, which you got to give him credit for that.
1,000,000%.
I continue to be blown away by his pocket precision. In terms of, it's uncomparable to anything we've had since Teddy Bridgewater, because Lamar didn't really play inside the pocket. He got out of the pocket. Tyler Shuck's ability to step in and read a pocket, be able to feel pressure coming from behind, it's sensational. And in this game, the offensive line, they played their freaking asses off, man. They played their asses off, and I loved every second of it.
Are you saying Tyler Shuck feels more quarterbacky?
Prototype quarterback. You catch my drift? But
a real leader in the locker room. Deceptively athletic. What a gritty player.
That's right, man. Sneaky athletic. You saw that.
He took a hit in the red zone where I was like, please get up. Not the flip. He took a hit throwing the ball where he was opened up, and I was like, get up. I'm sure we've had multiple of those with him over the year, though.
So one thing that you mentioned, big hits, we were hitting Clemson like Boston College hit us. And that was so refreshing to see us actually physically be the aggressors. It was so free. And the broadcast talked about it, and I'd been chatting a little bit with Vince before the show, Louisville got rid of the green dot communications on defense, and they're just signing it in old school. And I'm like, why the fuck did we stop if this is what we're going to look like? Oh, my God.
And hey, maybe let's do that on offense, because we're still freaking having problems communicating plays offensively. Maybe some of that was they went slower in some elements of this game. I'm going to get into that when we talk about some of the drives. But there was times where they were clearly not getting plays in. And the crowd noise, all of that plays into it. But my God, man, we got to figure this out. Let's go one uniform system. Here, bring me in to be the logistics guy. I'll get us. Me and Vince will come in.
Just fucking signal the plays in, and then Brian, Jeff, or whoever's in the headset can tell Tyler, hey, if you got 2 high safety here, go here. If you got 1 high safety, go here. If they show up in this front, check to this. It doesn't have to be a full freaking play call in that however many seconds it is. That's a bit much. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, basically.
So,
there's no reason to change something that's worked for years.
I said I would get into this later, but I actually kind of want to get into this now. I want to talk about the drives on this game. I thought the ability to accelerate and de-accelerate from Jeff Brom, from a play calling and getting the offense no huddle into the plays as quick as they did, was fascinating. If you look at this from a drive-by-drive perspective, the way that Louisville was able to orchestrate short drives and long drives, it was a masterclass, absolute masterclass. And here's an example of this. Drive 2, the field goal. 7 plays, 60 yards, 1 minute and 51 seconds. The touchdown, 7 plays, 92 yards, 2 minutes and 53 seconds. The touchdown after that, 6 plays, 47 seconds, 1 minute, right? All of that is very short, quick burst. The first possession of the game, they missed the field goal, but 5 minutes long. I mean, they were the ability to pull back and be conservative and slower, and the ability to speed up in this game, I think, just really threw Clemson off.
It's also playing ahead of the chains. Like, that's one thing that we've been struggling with all year, is playing behind the chains a little bit too much. And I mean, I highlight that in my game notes with how our defense had Clemson playing this whole game. You just call a completely different game whenever you're looking at 2nd and 12 opposed to 2nd and 6 or 5.
And here's another, just to give you some comparison, a great example of this in this game for Clemson. Drive 5 for them where Louisville blocked the first field goal. They had 10 plays. They only went 50 yards, and it took them almost 4 minutes to do so. I mean, just a long drive just to go a very short amount of the field. It's complete contrast in styles here in a lot of regards for Louisville and Clemson.
So one thing that and I'm going to heap a lot of praise on the defense for winning this game, because most of the offense, in my opinion, was pedestrian, wasn't bad. Other than Isaac Brown, wasn't holy shit great. But the defense did a great job of, I call it playing red zone roulette, only we didn't let them get that far, where it's just bend but don't break defense. Don't let the Clemson offense hit any home runs. And
they did not.
They didn't. Maffa, I think, had one run over 20 yards, and I think they had one pass over 20 yards. That was it. We didn't give up huge plays down the field, and that's where, we got a couple home runs off of Clemson. I think Chris Bell on, the end around, we had a huge play.
43,
The night, that was a huge run, a 45-yarder. So we were able to hit home runs. Clemson wasn't. We kept them in front of us, and then they missed, or not even they missed. We blocked kicks.
2 field goals. Yeah.
We made ours. So
that second possession, 13 plays, 6 minutes, and they got their field goal blocked. Louisville just executed the ability to drain the clock from Clemson. And from a game plan standpoint, what I thought I saw was Louisville took away a lot of the big play with TJ Moore and Antonio Williams and forced Klubnik to really exclusively go to Bryant Westco almost the whole game. I mean, that's all they gave them. And it was 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 yards at best most of the time in the passing game, or Louisville made a play defensively. I mean, there was, 7, 8 pass breakups in this game. Taylor Holloway had the best game of his life defensively in coverage in this one. I thought Louisville just executed the passing, the pass coverage in this game almost perfectly.
You saw Cade having to go down to his checkdowns a lot, and I mean, that's kudos to whoever's covering up that first read for him, and 2, the pass rush, because the pass rush was obviously starting to affect him and get to him. I mean, we were in his grill from basically the first series up until he walked off that field.
God, that scared the hell out of me, because there were multiple plays where we apply the pressure, Cade escapes, gets out of the pocket, you see his eyes downfield, but our D-backs didn't give up on the play. We didn't surrender.
You gotta keep going until you hear the whistle, man. You have to.
And there were plays where, I think he tried to fire one at the sticks, and either we broke it up or it got dropped. There was another one where he escaped and had a wide open Brenning Stool. Brenning Stool bobbles and drops it. I think that was right before halftime as they were trying to put something together quickly. So kudos to the secondary. The defensive line, again, created pressure like they have all year. Got home a couple of times, which was nice, but the defensive backs, and you know what? I'm gonna loop the linebackers in there as well. We didn't have huge busts in coverage, so quarterbacks
and they ran those wheel plays. They ran them multiple times, and the fact that they were there covering them, I mean,
we
awesome.
did it. We learned how to cover a field.
Yeah, this team, I think they listened to the show and they said, I will not be on Vince's game notes getting shamed on the shark wheel anymore. No more.
I mean, part of me likes to think that Jeff and them listen to based off play calling.
Yes,
I mean,
that's right. If we got the episodes out a little bit quicker, Sunday Film would include your breakdowns as well.
They wouldn't even do anything. They just sit back and just be like, all right, this is what we got to do this week.
Roll the film. That's right.
Well,
the other difference in this, and then we'll quickly transition into Vince's game notes to start looking at the film, is the yards per rush. I thought that really told a story for Louisville. I told you at the beginning of the kind of overview was that Clemson outrushed Louisville just slightly, but it took them a lot more plays to get to the yardage that they got compared to Louisville, who exclusively hammered Isaac Brown in this game. I mean, I think only 3 carries from a running back perspective were divvied out otherwise, one of which included the Bama Brown 1-yard touchdown. I think Duke Watson had a 1-yard run as well. This was Isaac Brown's game. He made his presence felt. This is a guy, like, this is not a hot take. If he stays here 3 years, his number will be up there with Lamar and Johnny Unitas, hands down. This is one of the most special running backs I've ever seen. And for him to be doing this as a true freshman on the road in Death Valley against this defense, despite the defensive line and the run game issues, it's still Clemson. To be able to have this performance, I thought that's what won the game for Louisville.
I'm not going to go that far with putting his name in the rafters, but I will say he has potential for a really good career based off what we've seen from guys like Javian Hawkins in the past who have rushed for 1,000 yards for the first time in how many years at the running back position?
Yeah, it had been,
so
almost like 10 years? Yeah.
So it's like, let's put together, like you said, if you do it 3-4 years consistently where you're, I mean, I don't know if he'll go for over 1,000 this year. I don't know where his. I'm not sure.
He's at 800 on the dot.
800 on the dot. So he'll go over
850, yeah.
So he'll likely go over 1,000 this year. And it's like just consistently putting up those numbers. I mean, he's got a shot based off what you said, Jacob. But I'm not gonna. He's gonna have to do it consistently.
You're missing something though, right? Consistently. But I'm just saying, like, at this pace, he is a 17, 18-year-old baby face. He is a freshman in college, and he is going to have an 1,000-yard season. He, by the law, has to play in college 2 more years. Hopefully it's in Louisville.
By the law.
By the law. Man, if he continues this pace, is going to be top 10 in all major rushing statistics. I'm just saying, at this pace, he's special. He is special.
He's currently on pace to break Lamar's freshman rushing record.
Is he?
Yeah, like
what was that at? What was his record at?
I think it's 950 something. If one of you all want to filibuster while I look it up.
Yeah, I think that this kid showed in this game.
He is special.
Make a play. He had a play where he was almost down at one point. I think his knee and whole body was like leading him to the ground, and he hit this cut and accelerated outside. It was even flashier and had more speed than Jawar Jordan. And I know that 25, we compare him a lot. It's just incredible to me to see this guy make the type of plays.
Speaking of Jaws, I love Jaws going on Twitter to stick up for his
too.
boy Tyler. Like I told you. Hey, you told us.
So I went back. I got my screen caps, and I was one of the few that's like, oh, wow, this is going to be a huge upgrade at quarterback if he stays healthy. So
good for you.
As wrong as I was about the Clemson game, I'm going to toot my own horn about Shuck. I was right.
I give you that.
Also, it was 960 is Lamar's freshman rushing yards record.
Blow that out of the water at this rate. We got 3 games left.
3 games left.
You're going to get probably like one easily 100, maybe 125 against Stanford. I think you're rolling out. The last 2 are going to be more of the challenge, in my opinion. But I mean, dude, that number could get close to
13.
Ooh, that's going to be pushing it.
Dude, that's 500 yards in 3 games. That's aggressive.
Jacob's over here talking about putting him for the rafters. I mean, you're over here saying his run's better than Lamar's leap. Like, we're throwing out takes out of nowhere now.
Hey, I didn't say he was better than Lamar. I just said that's a more iconic moment.
Don't you put that on me. I didn't say that either. All right, well, let's get into Vince's game notes. Let's dive into the film here. I think there's a lot of interesting things from this game that are going to pop on the film. And I think the big question we have to answer in this is, what did Ron English do defensively that was so drastically different that it swayed the outcome by double digits in Louisville's favor against Clemson? So, with all that being said, Keith, let's roll the tape, get into Vince's game notes.
It's time to get down to brass tacks. It's Vince's game notes with Vincent Lococo.
I wish my head was at them still.
Look, at some point we'll get better graphics. We have your head on the cover of the artwork. We can bring that into the equation.
I just wish it was that thin still.
Oh,
Like,
okay. I thought you were
no. I wasn't
okay.
as no. I was hating on how I look now.
That guy's got a little bit of like a bubble butt though. That art that they use is really kind of look like me at the bottom. Anyways, Vince's
But
game notes.
yep, for me, starting off, guys, like we talked about, down and distance, we're gonna have one playing behind the chains majority of this game. I wanted this to be an early indication for you all to see this. Teams, like we said, run stuff differently at 2nd and 12 opposed to 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. Obviously, hit the next clip for me, Keith. What I love right here is we are sitting right in the window. We are covering up that if the outside receiver right there on the 20 decides to run some form of a dig or anything on the inside, we're in that window. At the same time, we know that we have enough room to come up and make a play, make a tackle on number 7 on this. Hit the next one for me, Keith. Right here again, I wanted to highlight just the fact that we're 3rd and 12. It's like it was like this for majority of the game. I felt like where the defense is having to force them. Sorry, somebody random called me, but they're forcing them into these types of situations. Next one for me, Keith. So right here, we're highlighting how good Isaac Brown is. We've talked about how awesome he has been the entirety of the year for us. His one cut play ability. We have 2 offensive linemen pulling on the outside right here. Next clip for me. So you see where exactly Isaac's foot is. He's going to be sticking his foot in the ground and trying to get essentially right off the butt of this offensive lineman or right off his outside foot. And we have our other offensive lineman coming around to pull for this. He's not – some would think he's pulling around for this linebacker who's getting over top, but these 2 guys doubling actually end up coming off on him. And honestly, if it wasn't for this next picture, we would have – probably likely would have had a touchdown. Because this is all it took right here. This guy laying out
Looks like Superman.
Bro, and we would have had what the night play on the first series. And like it would have been a huge play for it. I mean, it was already a nice run, but you want to talk about early indicators with the defense and offense of them setting the tone on how the game is going to be for 4 straight quarters. So I loved it.
And Vince, one thing, and I just noticed this going like step by step. I think this might be something we stole from Philadelphia just because we're using an agile center on a pull play. Like you almost never see centers pulling, but this is one of the big pros of Pete Niagara. Like he's quick, so he's good, mobile and pass pro, and you can use him in situations like this. Because look at him, he's downfield and he's engaging in this block. Like
exactly. That's a great point, Keith. This next one here, we talked about on the Wednesday night recording how weird with EMAC. You heard us going back and forth with how weird the Clemson defense is. You see right here, you have 2 different safeties. It's a 2-high safety, but they're on 2 different levels. You look even in front of that, you're looking at 2 DBs or linebackers, depending on how you want to classify them, or 3 of them, that are on 3 different levels now. And then you also have a linebacker that's mugged up who, on the snap of the ball, he fakes like he's dropping back into coverage and then adds on late. So there is a lot of moving pieces and a lot of moving parts to what, played into Tyler Shuck and the offensive success into tonight and or into Saturday night. And what I love here is Tyler's eyes. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. You should be good. Yeah. Tyler's eyes are looking straight at that safety. And if you remember on this play, this is the one where Ja'Cory Brooks finds the window on this far top side, essentially on like a curl, some kind of a stop route. He essentially just found the open spot in the zone and went to it. But it's a great job by Tyler first of looking at that safety to hold his feet there and to get people to thinking, the linebackers and other people as well, thinking we're going to the left side, but really coming back to the right. So hit the next one. Yeah, you can see it better right here where his eyes are at. And go next for me, Keith. Yeah, this is a beautiful spot. Like, I mean, this is off-season work between the 2 of these guys where, the route could be – a lot of times what you'll see in an offensive playbook is like a 9 to 10 yards, 8 to 12. They give them a range of depth to go to at the wide receiver position. This is likely one of those routes where they told Ja'Cory, they said, hey, you 9 to 12 yards, you break it off where you feel fit, where you can get the ball the best. And it was a great play by everybody around.
Can I also real quick just call out the down and distance? Go back 2 pictures right here, Keith. 3rd and 13. This is a really easy spot. The first drive of the game to say, let's run an HB draw. Let's run Tyler up the middle. Let's just do something conservative that might throw them off a little bit, maybe some tendency breakers. No, instead, he gets in his bag and he calls a play that's aggressive against a team that's fucking good. Like, this is what you need to do all year long, Jeff. And I know that there's been instances where they've tried, they've made mistakes, but this right here was a tone setter for me. 3rd and 13, huge completion, keeps this drive alive. They ultimately missed the field goal, but still, it was an absolute tone setter.
Goes back to applying a pressure versus receiving it. So
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, next one for me. We got Quincy Riley. And guys, who was it? Was this Watts right here at the outside linebacker DB position?
I believe so. So,
we're highlighting these two guys. This is a huge play for both Quincy and Watts. It was something that you never coach for Watts, right? Is hit the next clip for me, Keith. I think I might have highlighted it. Yes, so perfectly. Watts is betting on himself right here. They always tell you outside arm free, strike with the inside arm. All your help is inside, force him back inside, all that good stuff. Set the edge, everything like that. But Watts sees that the offensive player over pursued on him. So he says, trust my speed, stick a foot in the ground and beat him to the spot. So next clip for me, Keith, you see where he beats his guy, beats him to the spot. What I love right here, I was talking about that technique of keeping your outside arm free and striking, inside that inside pec, outside shoulder. Quincy Riley is doing it perfectly right here, who ends up coming up and securing the tackle for a TFL right here. It was awesome technique play by Quincy, a not so awesome technique play by Watts. I'm sure they told him, hey, don't do this again. But it's like when a guy shoots a three and you're like, no. And it goes in and you're like, yes. Same exact situation before.
You talked about Quincy earlier this season trying to get out of plays like this, to come down and be aggressive. I think it was the game where he had multiple times where he got brought to a knee by a blocker. This is the instance of him saying, and I'm an NFL corner. Again, applying the pressure versus receiving the pressure.
Look at Quincy's hips opposed to the guy blocking him, where his hips are. I mean, the guy blocking him is almost standing straight up and down. And I get Quincy has 1 foot off the ground, but that's only because he is going forward to make this play right now. So, I mean, that's just little things that you notice and see where you're like, okay, like this is improvement from earlier in the year. I agree with you completely, Jacob. We are at, I had this one as Tyler Shuck, dog. I mean, that's what I titled this one, because we have the motion play right here. This is the reverse, if everybody remembers. Amari's coming in motion. I believe we toss it to Chris and hit the next clip for me. What I love right here is this is our 10th year senior quarterback with multiple injuries over here, lead blocking in the biggest game of his career for somebody to get around. And what I love even more, and what I'm sure gets Keith fired up, is this yellow line of seeing 3 offensive linemen on an even plane just going to attack 7 and 17. I mean, this is a beautiful clip right here. Look at Tyler Shuck's form in blocking. Look at this.
For a pretty boy, that's pretty damn good.
Quarterbacks don't do this shit in practice. His hands are inside. His head, his hips are engaged. This was a great block. That guy ended up on the ground. I'm not going to call it a pancake, but some would call it a pancake. Hit the next clip. Another one. Anytime you see 2 offensive linemen downfield like this, you know it's a good play. I mean, this right here is fucking awesome. I know Richard Owens loves this shit right here.
If you want to see a grown-ass man get overly excited and borderline emotional, just sit me down and let me watch offensive linemen 20, 30 yards downfield running with a ball carrier to make a block. That just gets me so juiced.
These 2 guys look like Biggest Biscuit getting to the Louisville golf sale for the swinging Louis. That's what this looks like right here, man. All right.
Next one from me. Oh my God. All right, boys. I don't know if you guys checked my game notes, but I pointed out the fact that every time Cade Klubnik lifts his hands like this, he's indicated that he's ready for the football. So Connor Salians can suck it. So that's an early indicator right there. I mean, that's something that you can look at all of our defense. Like, that's when they start moving. As soon as Cade lifts his arms like this, that overextended motion right there, he likely did a leg kick. He likely did a clap. He likely did something like a ready, like before the ball, before he did this. And that's right there, letting the center know that, hey, I'm ready for the ball. And Quincy Riley sees this as well. Top of the screen is what you're looking at. And you see his feet. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. This is post snap where his feet. So right here, you see how he's opened? He can run with anybody that is going downfield right here. But what Quincy's seeing is that they're likely running the football in some capacity. So he can come up and play force right there. He can also go back and pass coverage if need be. But he's obviously they end up running screen right here. He sticks a foot in the ground and goes and blows this one up again. So hit the next one for me. This is, yeah. So not only are we blowing this up, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in this picture that are all going to the football. Now, likely is 6 and 7 stopping that Clemson offensive player if he breaks that second and third player's tackles. Are those guys stopping them from getting a first down? Likely not, but they're stopping them from getting a touchdown. I sure as hell know that much. I mean, there are 7 dudes right here in this picture that are running to the football. I know Ron English and the defense loves this.
Oh, it was fantastic. We played desperate for like arguably the first time this year. We played desperate for 4 quarters of football.
That's the red swarm. That's what it's supposed to look like right here.
Yeah, I mean, This is picture perfect defense right here. All right, next one for me. This right here was we have been talking about the tackling. They end up gaining yards on this, but we've been talking about the tackling the past however many weeks, and MJ Griffin really stood out this past week tackling. I mean, dude is a absolute thumper. I love this hit right here. It is exactly how they teach it. Hips engaged. You see he's not on a knee. I compared somebody's body to a 7, if you guys remember correctly. Does not look like that at all. His head's on the outside. He shot his arms. This is just beautiful form tackling right here. This is what it looks like.
My body's a 7.
My body's a 0.
Mine's an extra wide 00.
I had this one titled Bad D. This is one of the few times that we, on outside those last couple of series, like Keith said, like we had, bad defense early on. And I'm not sure why we were giving ground here, because if you see that yellow line back there is essentially like, for me, I see that and it's like, why do you give ground? You have no reason to pedal. You have no reason to backpedal. And backpedaling here is what loses the leverage and what loses the route and the touchdown, essentially. Next clip for me, Keith. Should be able to show it better. Yeah, so look at this where go back and forth between the 2 clips where he's at. Like he is essentially starting out at go back to the last one. He's on the 4 or 5 yard line and ends up on the 1 yard line on his break. I mean, that is just, you don't need to pedal when you're in this position in the red zone. Just sit there, play catch. I get the dude's crazy fast. He's crazy fast. But if he's running past you that bad, guess what doesn't hurt you in this field position? A pass interference. So you grab and you hold, you get the PI, but you don't get beat over top, and you have a better shot at playing stuff up in front of you like this. So miscommunication, Clemson ends up scoring here. We're that's 7-3 at this point. So next one I had really bad D, but kind of funny. So that's how I titled this one on my show notes, because right here you see the hole from Cade. Like there's a massive hole right there where some linebacker, safety, somebody should have been, but they weren't there. And the next clip I just love. It's hilarious. I mean, straight scooped him up off the ground. This is how you treat a quarterback. This is how you treat a quarterback whenever they take off and they decide that they get a little bit too big for their britches and they think they can run. You pick them up off their feet and you gently sent them down and you let them know that they should not do that again.
I know shot put was Brian Hudson's area of expertise, but I think Huddy might have coached a little bit of hammer throw for him on this toss of
seriously,
club. This is beautiful. We jokingly say threw his ass out the club actually threw his ass.
That's why I said, you know what, this is bad deep, but this shit's kind of funny. I gotta highlight this one in here.
That's the type of hit that gets rules changed for quarterbacks, man. Like that's what this is right here.
Correct. Next play, again, Watts with another huge play. He's blitzing on this play, and Keith will tell you he played offensive line. I know because I played defense. Anytime you leave your feet, the offensive lineman is taught to break your ribs. And Watts is selling out for the team right here. He knows that, hey, I'm not going to get there on the pass rush, but let me time up this jump. It makes a huge, huge play for us. I absolutely love seeing stuff like this.
Yes,
Yeah, it looks
Antonio Watts, D'Angelo Hutchinson, and Tamarion McDonald are 3 Marvin Dallases on the football field at the same time. They are
But
heat-seeking
know what
missiles.
they're doing. But
That's
know
right.
what they're doing, which is hilarious.
That's right. Just 3 athletes that are going to come downhill and thump the shit out of you. I love the 3 of them, and we have them for more years, right? Like
Which
they
is
all
awesome.
have eligibility. Yes, right.
Yes.
To
All
go
right,
back
next
to
clip. Oh, go for it. Go ahead, Keith.
I was going to say, just to go back to the preseason eval, talking about those guys, they were some dudes. We've been looking for these dudes all year. There was an APB out for our dudes, except for Watts. He's been a dude the last couple weeks. And they finally all showed up and did what dudes do. I just can't. I want to praise their good behavior more.
Exactly. Right here, we have a huge run play from Isaac. This one in particular is the horse collar play, I believe. We have 2 guys pull it. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. I think there's 4 pictures. Yep, we end up getting a 3-way go again with Isaac, like we talked about, where we have a guy pulling. You see, he could just follow that puller offensive lineman. He could essentially kick it outside, which both would be 2 terrible decisions. Isaac sees that they haven't overloaded this side, but the entirety of the defense has come over to the left side, reading where the ball is supposed to be going. But Isaac sees the perfect cutback lane and only has 3 defenders over there on that side of the field. Like running backs, a lot of times they split the field. Like whenever they're looking at a playbook or looking at film, they split it right down wherever the center is. And, for film purposes, pass protection purposes, they'll count how many guys, all that stuff. So that's essentially what I did here. And I'm sure Isaac, in a quick moment, obviously he didn't know there were 6 and 3 guys, but he probably saw, oh, there's a shit ton of guys over here and nobody over here on this side. Let me stick a foot in the ground and go be a ball player and make a play, which he does phenomenally. Hit the next one for me, Keith. What I love, and I'm going to continue harping this entire show notes, is guys blocking downfield. I mean, this play right here is sprung by Amari Huggins-Bruce blocking downfield, by Chris Bell blocking downfield. I believe that's Chris Bell. That might be Ja'Cory Brooks.
I think that's Bell. That looks like a 0 as opposed to
I agree. But regardless, both of those guys still downfield blocking. I mean, it's huge. And hit the next one for me. There might be one more. That's it. Yeah. Oh, the horse collar. Yeah, this is just Bush League. I mean, like, I know we got the call and everything, but I mean, push him out of bounds, do something. There's a million different ways. Like, I mean, 10 does not need to bring him down by the horse collar by any means. Like, I played football for 20-some years and never tackled anybody by their horse collar. I don't understand how guys do it. But beside me, hit the next one for me. We have a screen pass for a big play right here. Again, we're highlighting the one cut ability of Isaac Brown. We see an offensive lineman out here on an island. They call this an elephant on skates right here, which is just awesome to see because he is going straight forward. And is that Duke? My bad.
Yeah, that's Duke.
Ooh, my bad. But regardless, it's a
Duke freshman running back.
Exactly. But I mean,
just
the one
number off.
But where they cut is just insane. Hit the next one. I'm like it's like having 99 acceleration on college football with some of these kids. I mean, it's unreal. Go back and forth between look at where it starts right here and look at where it ends up. I mean, that's just nothing but 1, 2 maybe steps where Duke sticks a foot in the ground, gets north and south, and is able to get. I mean, any slower of a decision, that's a TFL. Any quicker of a decision, he's probably running right into the guy. Like, it's very smart, and I love it. And
props to Gonzalez for getting his ass out there and making a block. Again, we're asking our O-linemen to be fast and do fast things, and we're finally starting to find that rhythm.
Just get a hand on him. Just get a hand. I mean, Keith, just get a hand on him, get something on him to where you can alter and give the running back somewhere to go, and that's what these guys are doing phenomenally.
Yeah, just erases them. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, this next one, classic right here. This is an all-time cards classic. This was just titled "There Goes My Hero." Guys, we can all bask and enjoy this one together as a group, collectively. Tyler Shuck is just. I mean, the fact that he did this for me indicated that. I mean, he just doesn't give a fuck anymore in the best of ways. You know what I mean? Like at this moment, he said, fuck the injuries, fuck everything that everybody's been saying about what I should be doing, what I have to be doing. F it. I'm going to go win a football game the best way I know to go win a football game, and that's making damn plays. And I love it. And I would run through a damn brick wall for this kid. Like, shit like this is what gets other players fired up.
Looks like fucking
so,
looks like Spider-Man right now, dude. Like what? Like what?
yeah, and he hits the Nene in the end zone. Like what? He said that's back for my time.
You called this a Cards Classic, so let me get the button ready. This is a certified Cards Classic. That's one for you old heads who illegally streamed music back in the day.
That was. Can you do that again?
This is a certified Cards Classic.
That's the LimeWire special right there.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
That's what I was waiting on.
Damn, Chuck, where'd you find this?
Seriously, yeah, that needed to be. But I mean, boys, it's just the want to, and this is what we needed out of a quarterback. I don't know if we get this last year. We sure as hell aren't winning this football game last year. Man, hats off to Tyler right here. Next one for me. What I love is effort and strain, especially when it comes on special teams, because people give special teams coordinators too much flack for reasons that are out of their control. Like, it bothers me to no end when people get on special teams coordinators whenever it's not people think it's all like special teams is effort. That's all it is. Effort and do your job. Stay in your lane 90% of the time is what special teams is. Like, yeah, on punt is supposed to look like a fan. That's what they'll always tell you. Just picture a fan. Everybody stay in their lane. Kickoff, everybody just go stay in your lane. Somebody reroute you, get back in your lane. Same thing with stuff like this where you're blocking field goals. It is everything from you taking that inside hard, to Ashton Gelati taking the inside step hard right there, to us taking a hard outside step. It is all that and above of all these dudes making a play where it's saying, like, whenever they say worry about the other 10, this shit right here and field goal blocks, whenever this stuff happens, that's what that is applied to, because there are 10 other players that are being selfless for one player to go out there and have that moment. Like, it's insane. I absolutely love shit like this.
And I'm thrilled that it was TJ who actually got in to make a play, because, like, he's been someone all of us have been ragging his ass all season.
Yes.
So for him to get in and get some of these, like, hero plays, for lack of a better term, I'm thrilled to see him not be defeated by the down year and to still go out and bust ass on special teams to make big plays.
I mean, we don't win the game without this play. Like, we just don't.
No.
Shout out.
No. I mean, this and the two block field goals, we don't win without that. So next clip for me. I think I only have one picture on the where were we at? Oh, offensive line domination. So we have showing preset physicality of showing you where the offensive line starts opposed to where they end up on the second clip. I mean, it is at least 2 to 3 yards on the other side of the football. And what I love in this picture, and I know this just fires Keith up too, is seeing a forearm or an elbow just right in the throat of the Clemson defender right there. And his outside arm's still free. I'll be damned if there's a guy that comes down right there. He's going to get him too. He will be. He would have been blocking two people with one body. Great job by Mike right there, working the double team as well. What I love, again, I'm harping on it, is the guys blocking downfield. You see Brooks, you see Amari Huggins-Bruce, you see Bell over there on the chasing the backside. Like, I love when dudes are blocking downfield. It just, I mean, we spring so much more stuff.
It might be.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, might be the most underrated aspect of our receiving core. All of them run block.
Yeah,
none of them are too good for it.
This is our number one receiver right here, literally blocking downfield to spring our running back for a touchdown. Like, it is insane.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
I don't think he scored on this. He didn't score on this, but I mean, that is our number one receiver right there.
Yeah.
You don't see that shit. I mean, we didn't see it with Dez. We didn't see it with Tutu. We didn't, as much as I love those guys, like this, to be able to get your receivers to buy into blocking downfield, like, it's huge. You don't score, you don't have these big runs without it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it sort of adds to your legacy if you're a wideout who can run block. Like, that's one of the first things people think of when Hines Ward or Steve Smith, like, oh yeah, great receivers. Also, they will tear your head off in the run game.
They'll get you paid too, man.
Oh,
hell yeah.
NFL scout's gonna see that. That's gonna pay dividends, literally, financially.
Literally, that will literally pay you financially. I love the read right here with Tyler. We talked about it last week about how he needs to be doing this more. He needs to be given the opportunity to do this more. Clearly, Clemson's going to sell out on the run with whoever's in there, Isaac, Duke, Donald Chaney. It doesn't really matter. Whoever you want to put in there, the defense is likely going to sell out on the running back, so that pool is going to be there at all times. I mean, it was just one clip, so Tyler ends up. What do? We ended up pushing it Brown. We ended up pushing it in with Keywan Brown on like one of the next couple plays after this. So hit the next one for me. We have good downfield blocking. So you see all these guys are going left, and we have again just sticking a foot in the ground and getting straight north and south.
Oh, thought
you're good.
All right.
So he sticks a foot in the ground and he's getting north and south. Hit the next clip for me, Keith. Right here is Ashton's sack, which I absolutely love. Like breaking this down, people think this is just a bull rush. That's what the announcer said. They're like, oh, it's a great bull rush from Ashton. It's not just a bull rush. Look at this next clip's going to be extremely blurry, but whenever you look at it, I want you to try and see the details in the picture. Note that Ashton's wearing black gloves and the Clemson defender or offensive player is wearing white gloves here. Next clip for me, Keith. So you can see I have it circled. It's hard to see that Ashton is up under his chin with his left arm and left shoulder, essentially, and he's controlling his outside arm or wrist. He has all his wrist control is where he's going to grab. Ashton went straight for his wrist, and he ends up, next clip, with his wrist being secured, it provides Ashton the opportunity to actually make that sack. You see where he's finishing the sack is with his outside arm. So he's driving him into Cade. He has his outside arm free, and at the moment of whenever he's ready to make that sack, sheds the outside arm and continues over with that right outside arm. It was pretty. I mean, to hit like that, you have to have a really good hand-eye coordination to catch that tackle's initial punch. And a lot of times that comes with getting up into him with that bull rush and being right there already close and getting the opportunity to grab it. So it was a heads-up play, huge play by Ashton. Next one for me, Keith, if you could. This is the hitch by Chris Bell, something I would love for us to continue to run more. Just like I said, those like 5 to 8 yarders. You give the wide receiver an option on the depth, especially whenever they're playing off coverage like this. Chris runs a beautiful route where he's selling vertical. If I take a picture of this snapshot of Chris running this route right here from this position and Chris running his vertical go routes, they would look the same. That's what I mean whenever I say he's selling vertical. It would look exactly the same. So hit the next clip for me, Keith. It was a beautiful ball by Tyler, putting it on the outside shoulder. And what I love is Chris coming back to the ball and attacking it, right? A lot of times what you see right there is wide receivers, boom, boom, and they step down and they just stop and turn around right at the 40-yard line right there. And it's like that's whenever you see the DB break the pass up. That's whenever you see the DB catch it, interception. They're going 60 yards down the other side. I mean, him coming back and attacking the football is huge heads-up play right there by him at the wide receiver position. Next one for me, I think we have one more picture with this. Yes, just his ability to get downfield, secure the catch, and gain the first down. Like that is what I love about those hitch plays because you put them in just a weird one-on-one situation with the DB where they're not necessarily settled. So
I think Chris Bell settled that defender nicely, and it looks like the downward dog here, if I had to guess.
Yeah, downward dog. I didn't even realize I did that to him.
Yeah, we call that the arching of one's back right there, man. Preparing himself. Anyways, go on. Next one.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I did that to that poor fellow. I'm sorry. Not really. Clemson's put me through so much this past however many years.
They like butt stuff, so you got man ready.
All right, so we're gonna get a motion right here by the inside wide receiver at the top of the screen. It's a heads up play by I think Watts again. So hit the next clip for me, Keith. And we have Ramon Perrier highlighted on this as well because Ramon but he closes down essentially off the tackle's hips right here and does his job, right? But what I love from Watts is this isn't necessarily taught either. This is see ball, get ball, go, see hole, go. Like This is him just being a straight ball player. Motion comes into effect, and I guarantee he's not set up for a blitz, but there is a hole right there that you could drive a Mack truck through that he just said, I'm going to go take for myself and go make a play in the backfield. So hit the next clip. Ramon does a great job right there with staying square. And when Watts comes in, he came in a little out of control because it was a unannounced blitz. And I'm sure, like I would have been, was shocked and like, oh my God, I'm in the backfield. Like, this is insane. And just came out of control. But he ends up wrapping him up. And Ramon, by doing his job, makes a huge hit in the backfield. Another play for Eastern High School.
And that's Phil Maffa, like arguably one of the best running backs in the country, especially when it comes to power running, just getting blown up on a 4th and 1. Hell of a play.
By a dude that weighs 100 pounds less than him and a former walk-on. Like, that's hard.
Apply the pressure.
Yes, apply the pressure. Where are we at right here? Oh, okay. So what I did not like with this play on defense is the fact that we're blitzing on the outside, but we don't necessarily close tighter. The angle that I had that arrow drawn at is where I would like for his angle to be. Go where they're going to be, not where they're at, essentially. And he went where they were at and not where they were going to be. So hit the next clip for me, Keith, and you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Like, that is just way too much space right there in between him and the tackle. And, I mean, he's leaving it essentially on these two guys right here at the top of the screen. That's 2-on-2. I don't like our odds at that point to make a play or anything like that on the ball. So hit the next clip for me. This one right here, again, pure effort. And I doubt they did anything different on the block. I'm sure this is the same spot Maz knew to attack from the get-go, and I'm sure they just went at it. But I see at least 2 to 3 guys that could have blocked this field goal at any given point. One being, I think that's Jared Dawson getting up right there. 21 and 23, both coming off the edge, could have got a block there as well. Like, it's just this right here, the 2 field goal blocks wins us this football game. Like, you don't get out, you don't win games getting your field goals blocked. You just don't.
Yeah. Nope. As this is a chip shot field goal too. Like, this is like, you're assuming points are on the board if you're Clemson because you're kicking from your own 15 or from.
And look at my dog.
And
look at my dog right there. Move your mouse a little bit, Keith. I see if I think you have. No. Look at Maz right there. Hands on the hips. Cool as ever. Look at my dog next to the guy in the purple. Just hands on hips. He's ready. He knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I love
it.
I love it. Yep. All right, next clip for me. We've highlighted special teams enough. Again, they ended up. Let's see. What did I say on this play? Effort. So I had this one as just a straight effort play because this is, again, late in the game. You can see the time and where we're at in the game.
11 minutes left.
Yeah, I think they ended up – I can't remember if they ended up scoring or what on this. This drive leads to Clemson touchdown where they just straight shove it down our face. 26-14 cards is what I have on the notes. But what I love, again, is having 7 guys around the football, and 3 of them are lifting this receiver up off the ground, and Stan Kwan's coming in for a people's elbow over top, and it's just Ramon's coming over here as the 5 guy just to blow the pile up. It is just beautiful gang tackling football. I mean, this stuff right here wins you football games.
Yeah, and this is the type of thing that won us the game because it made Clemson, like, yes, they scored, but they took forever. This took 5 minutes off of the clock on this drive. So,
exactly.
And at this point, the clock was one of our biggest teammates.
Yes. The mismanagement of clock, another reason Louisville won this game.
All right, this is going to be my next couple clips right here. Isaac Brown's awesome touchdown run. What I love, don't love it, but we're starting off with Brooks running the motion right here in 20. It's a good read. You see where Tyler's eyes are. He knew exactly who he was going to look at. He's looking at 20 to see if he's going to continue to run with Brooks. And if he's not going to continue to run with Brooks, well, he bumps inside. Essentially, next clip might be able to show it, Keith, or might not. He bumped a little bit more inside on this clip. Yeah, post motion right here. So, yeah, it's I wouldn't call him in the box, but I would call him a part of the box in some way, you know. But next clip for me, Keith. Yeah, we have both guys pulling around. Beautiful job by both of these pullers. to recognize your guys and not, I mean, they might. I've seen guys take that earlier hole right here in between the tight end and the tackle before, and it just F everything up because then you have a free hitter on the outside. But both of these guys take the right track. I mean, it's just a beautiful play. Hit the next one for me. Isaac again. This is where he sticks a foot in the ground. Like, it's insane for him to be able to open his hips up right here and get north and south. I mean, it's incredible. It's like it's hard to put into words, like his one cut ability, because you haven't seen it for a very long time around here.
The agility is incredibly impressive.
But that line I have drawn right there is the track that he takes to go score this touchdown. Next one for me, Keith. Again, guys blocking downfield. Look at 17 just getting tossed out of the club. And if he doesn't get tossed out of the club right there, we have an offensive lineman who's getting ready to clean his clock anyways.
Oh, my gosh.
Isaac Brown is getting his. I have a shirt that is literally ripped exactly like how Isaac has one ripped right now. Like, it's an FCA shirt. It's ripped all the way down the side. If you play running back, fullback, any types of those, receiver, anything where a ball is in hand and somebody's grabbing you got a million shirts that look like that, which just means you're running hard, which is awesome. I mean, this clip right here is just effort, man. That dude is laying out on the ground and Isaac's just running straight through his ass.
All I'm saying is Renato Brown coming off an injury. He's beaten Isaac Brown in a 6-yard foot race.
It's a Jamaican sweet feet from Renato. Hit the next one for me. I don't know how many more we have. Yep, that's it right there.
We got a little preview
for me. That is it for me. That is it for Vince's game notes. Clemson ended up putting together a drive on offense, and that just made them feel a little bit better. But outside that, I didn't have much else to mark up or check. This was fun to go through. I had a good time.
Incredible, man. That was incredible. I got to say, one of the funniest things about this game for me with Clemson is the mismanagement of the clock at the end of the half, at both halves. The first half, 6 plays, 21 yards. They end on an end of half. Like, nothing comes of it. End of game, 12 plays, 67 yards, no points. The game's over. I love that. Like, you think that at some point with what I say, 18 plays, you would get points on the end of half scenarios. No, Louisville played those perfectly, and it was beautiful. You know what else is going to be played perfectly? That's Keith against the clock, and that is what is going to happen right here as we transition and break this game up a little bit as we prepare for what's coming up and what Louisville can face post-Clemson. We need to get a better understanding of the competition. And so, Keith, we need you to take us around what was a very eventful weekend in the ACC.
Yeah, it was a tightly packed window. There was no weekday games this week. We didn't have any Thursday or Friday night ACC. We didn't have any super late start times either, so we didn't have any West Coast games going into the wee hours of the morning. But what we did have was a fantastic, packed in tight little nugget of ACC goodness. I'm incredibly excited to go through. So, fellas, get your seatbelts on. It's time to go around the ACC in 60-ish seconds. It was a Manny Diaz revenge game, and the Duke Blue Devils were battling in an incredibly close game until it wasn't. Kane's offense explodes late to win and cover. You know what the N in NC State stands for? The noon game was never close. CJ Bailey goes for 18 of 20 and 3 touchdowns as the Pack pounds Stanford. Virginia Tech stormed up to the Carrier Dome and jumped out to a 21-3 lead. And then the Hokies snatched defeat from the jaws of victory as they allow Syracuse to drag the game back into overtime, which lasted all of 4 plays. As quickly as Syracuse scores a touchdown, Virginia Tech fumbles away the game. Mac Brown had an incredibly long and successful coaching career and finally accomplished something he never did. With the help of a 3:30 p.m. kickoff time, UNC gets Sleepy Mac his first ever win over Florida State. Clemson invited the Cards to town, and as is tradition, the kindest fans in college football booed injuries, threw debris on the field, and they met at the exits in the third quarter as the Cards finally get their first win over the Tigers. And finally, it was a matchup with ACC title and college football playoff implications as SMU and Pitt met for a battle in Dallas. And this game lived up to the billing for all of 10 minutes as the Ponies jumped out of the gates and never looked back, keeping the inside track to the ACC title game.
Beautiful. Well done.
That was
Rashard
amazing.
Smith. Fucking shit, man. SMU is good. Gosh, man. I was going through all the scenarios this weekend of how Louisville climbs back into the playoff conversation. They don't. SMU got that pretty much wrapped up here, headed into unless
I did that with my buddy on Saturday, and I'm like trying to talk it out loud. I'm trying to verbalize it. And he's like, "Where? What are you talking about?" I'm like, but he's like, "No, there's no situation where y'all get in this."
Unless, which, hey, AP poll came out today. Cards were at 25. Unless something weird happens and we're at like 18 in the college football playoff. So big day for us coming up Tuesday. The college football playoff rankings finally drop.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe our losses look, maybe they have Notre Dame and Miami and SMU as like top 12 teams. So we're chilling at like 18. But yeah, playoffs. I'm at Jim Mora at this point. I just want to win another game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So,
win.
That's right.
Winning takes care of everything.
you know where else I want to win?
Where?
With our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Think your favorite quarterback's favorite quarterback, Tyler Shuck, will rack up higher than 0.5 passing touchdowns next weekend? Cook up some entries for a real shot to win cash prizes all football season long. Also, I would definitely take lower than next weekend because Louisville's going to be on a bye.
That's a good one there. I like that.
Yeah. Underdog is the best place to cash in all your takes this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones are ice cold? Make your entries in just a few taps and turn your sports opinions into real money. And for those of you who like to dabble on the NFL side and you like to pick running backs to score touchdowns, guess what? Underdog Fantasy has vulture protection. If you pick a running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry and they get vultured, if some scumbag backup running back gets to come in and take their touchdown away, guess what? They call in the choppers. They fly in. They lie down suppressing fire. They rappel in and they rescue that pick for you. They save it and they bring it back. So your vultured pick is protected. They've got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. Create entries with all sorts of different football selections or mix. They have NBA, NHL, college football, professional football, MMA, and so much more. And you can mix and match across all of your favorite sports. Every dog also deserves a second chance. And with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. Jacob, I believe you had something with this happen over the weekend, right?
I did. That saved me, man. I like it. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy.
This the second time if we had the music license, we'd be playing There Goes My Hero during the show.
Very true.
They come in and they save you. And with Underdog's double flex option, if you put together a string of, let's say you're aggressive and you want to put 6, 7, or even 8 picks together, you can take two losses and your entry can still win. My picks personally didn't do great this weekend. Look,
Personally, my girlfriend's ready to leave me. We're going to sell the apartment, and I have to question my next paycheck.
Nothing quite that crazy, but I had a little too much faith in Tyler Shuck on the passing front this weekend. I thought we were going to throw the ball more than we did. That I should have leaned more towards that Isaac Brown higher than total.
Or you should have.
Shout out to Cade Klubnik, though, for going lower than 0.5 interceptions at least. So that one did save one of my entries. But even though my picks didn't do great this weekend, I had so much fun with it. You bet I'm excited to give it another try this weekend. And you can too. If you use promo code PINKSEATS, you'll be able to receive up to $1,000 of bonus cash upon your deposit, as well as a free promo pick'em entry. Again, that's promo code PINKSEATS. So every player, every touchdown, Just select higher or lower on Underdog. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Thanks, Underdog Fantasy.
I'm betting Mike Tyson to knock out Jake Paul in under 5.5 rounds.
Okay, 2 minutes just so we can talk about this garbage content real quick. Dog, I love Mike Tyson. He is almost 60 years old.
I agree until, as you were reading this ad, I read a quote, and it sold me within that however long it took you to read the ad. So this quote says, this is from Mike Tyson himself. I'm always careful when that guy comes out. Every time I drink or get ready to fight and Iron Mike returns, I break out in handcuffs. Unfortunately, I have to fight and be that guy. I wish I could stop that guy. That guy haunts me. I wish I could stop that guy. I wish that guy died, but he's here again.
It just doesn't sound right when you do. I wish that guy had died. But
in my birth.
That said, like, as unlikable as Logan Paul is and can be, Jake Paul is and can, let's be honest, both of them is and can be.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do it.
No, nope.
I wouldn't have the stones to do it. Nope.
and if you knock him out, you don't gain anything. Like, you beat up a 60-year-old or 65-year-old man. Like, congrats. You committed elder abuse. Like, shout out to you, man. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gaining from this by fighting Mike Tyson besides that? You're gonna fucking die, man. No way.
All right, back to Louisville football. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry to derail the conversation.
So, that was our 2 minutes of trash content.
Yeah. Speaking of getting a sack, how about we train the Sack King? And fellas, I know I was out last week. I spent a lot.
Jacob,
of time
you can quit lying to us and say that you just weren't going to return until there were some real updates on the Sack King update.
That could be true.
You can quit lying.
But what I was getting at is that I spent hours in the gym thinking, how can I improve this graphic more? Yeah, the wall is here. We have the chart. Like, I spent time, and it just, unfortunately, it didn't happen this week. But what we did have was 2 sacks. And so that means that we are opening up the club. The Sack King race has new entries. It has existing entries. And fellas, I love a good sack. But I'll take a 0.5er. A 0.5er will work, okay? When we split that sack in half and we each get a Lance Armstrong, we'll take it. That's a big win for the defense, and that's what happened this weekend. You saw Ashton Gelati climb in the sack rankings. Now, shortly behind the leaders with 3 sacks. He's got 2.5. Love to see it. He has had a sack since the Austin Peay game, so I need to do some better fact-checking of myself. And confirm that. But shout out to Ashton, shout out to Jordan Garrard, who got the 0.5er as well. And Jordan has tackles, sacks, like, he is really, in the amount of games that he's played, really caught up statistically to the rest of this defensive line, playing in a rotational spot. Have really been encouraged by his play. And then this weekend, guys, Miles Jernigan enters the club, gets his first sack of the season. The coveted transfer from California comes in, and he had some up and down moments throughout the year, but he gets that sack, pushes this defense just one further. 2 against Clemson is a nice achievement. I'll take it. There's games this year where they should have had some sacks. They didn't get them. So 2 against Clemson, 3 guys on the board. Let's go. The Sack King race.
They left one on the table, though, brother. They left that one on the table. You remember they closed in on it. I cannot remember if Cade gained a lot of yards or what on it.
No,
do you remember that? Do you remember that, Jacob? You're looking at me like I have 12 eyes. Yeah,
I don't. I do not. No.
No, he spun out, rolled out, and it was the exact play I was thinking about when I was talking about his escapability and us being able to not let him hurt us. He rolls out and he throws a friggin' dart to, I think it was a tight end coming back at the sticks, and just throws a rocket like 10 yards away, and it just bounces off his hands and then out of bounds. So ended up not hurting us, but yes, that was one where we had him bottled up. Should have had another one. And
I was thinking about the Sack King update as the game was happening, though. If that makes you feel better, Jacob, I was thinking about you the entirety of the game.
I love it, man.
I'm pretty sure I fired off one to the group text when Jordan Girard put his sack on the table. I was like,
dude, he's fun to watch. He's fun to watch. Talk about a relentless motor.
I tried to tell so many people this preseason, and of course, I had a dead fish thrown in my lap when he gets injured in the preseason, so he doesn't get to play because he was electric at FIU last year, just constantly moving across the field. The dude's got a motor that doesn't quit, and I'm
It was
glad
great.
he's finally finding form. And now with the bye week coming up, and with 3 winnable games to end the season, like, dog, he could make a huge impact. And hell, with
He might
3
win, man.
being the current lead, he could still get the win. We still got a long ways to go in the sack
What's the
race.
winner? What's the winner get?
The winner gets a nice water steak. That's the winner's gift. Watched or whatever.
It reminds me of those TikToks of like something about them being so broke and they're literally cooking ice cubes and they're like cooking them like a steak. Yeah, water soup.
Yeah, sloppy steak. That's what I meant. From
Sloppy steak.
Salisbury steak. Yeah.
But you know what they could receive is a game ball or a helmet sticker, and so we'll transition into that. And this one is exciting because I think there were some obvious candidates, and I think just based off of our notes, we there was easy to go towards those, and you're not wrong doing so. But there also were some hidden gems in this game that I think really deserve a second look. And so let's dive into game balls. Keith, you've got yours listed here, so let's start with you. What do you got for your game ball?
Yeah, so I did far too much thinking leading up to the game because I was relying on stats and analysis for making game picks. And I just decided, you know what? Let's just go with the easy pick, the guy that knows ball, or the guy that played a hell of a ball game, Isaac Brown. 20 carries for $151 and a TD, not just a TD where he just took their fan base and ripped their hearts out and sent them storming to the exits. So Isaac Brown, fantastic game. He gets my game ball.
Love it. I absolutely love it. He had a great game again. It just every week continues to leave you impressed with his ability to get better and better. And at 18 years old, man, as long as that man gets paid, he's going to be around for a while. So let's make sure that happens. Vince, what do we got, man? Where are we going with your game ball?
So to set the table a little bit, I saw Ty Spalding tweet something about Renato not playing a lot the entirety of the year, and I DM'd him. I was like, what? He's been in the rotation all year. And he's like, no, he hasn't. And we went back and forth. I thought he had played 7 games, and he told me no, that he hadn't played up until he second, third week of the year hadn't played much on the offensive line, if not at all. So I'm going to go with Renato for my game ball, strictly because he is able to be plugged into that offensive line, and we absolutely looked completely different.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You didn't read the notes because our rule is no repeats.
No.
And I had...
Why would I...
Right, exactly. I should have... Shame on
Why would I read the notes? I put my game notes on there, and then I left.
That's right. I should have... you know what's funny is I drafted a text earlier today to ask you guys individually who your game balls were for this to not happen, and I didn't do it.
Oh my God.
It's going to be great.
You basically read... He basically read off the Renato notes Jacob had almost verbatim.
Oh, makes you feel any better? I didn't look, nor did I have anything written down.
Oh, that's great, man. Well, here's what before I can quickly pivot. That's the beauty of tracking the game the way
You're
that
such
I do.
a goat. You were so good at this, man.
I am. You're right. Thank you. But
pump his tires some more, Vince.
I will credit our good friend Matt McGavick. I texted him earlier today and I said, hey, I need the snap count for Renato on the season because something just seemed
different. So we did the same thing, just opposite people.
That's right. Just different people. That's right.
Okay.
And so this season, 25 snaps against Austin Peay, 7 against Jacksonville State. He did not play from Jacksonville State up until BC when Austin Collins was injured. And then against Clemson, played his highest snap count of the season, 61 snaps as the starting right guard, all at right guard. An absolutely incredible performance. The only blip on the radar was the false start fourth quarter. But besides that, Renato was fantastic, and I love to see it. I'm going to transition here then, and I'm just going to go into the list of helmet stickers because thankfully I listed about 40 guys. And I'm going to go with Ron English then. We've handed out a game ball this season to Carl Maslowski and the special teams unit. And this week I'm going to give it to Ron English because that guy has taken – BVG levels of flack on Twitter and social media the last couple of weeks. And he certainly has not called the games that you would expect him to call. especially after the defense that you saw last year. But this weekend, they played fast. They were absolutely relentless. They did not, for the most part, miss tackles. They made big stops on third down. They made stops when it mattered. They got off the field. And this game, from a blitzing perspective, from just keeping Ashton where he's good, like in terms of the defensive performance and being able to give you what you need, Ron simplified it. And I thought that overall that made all the difference. So shout out to Ron for an incredible defensive gameplay. And let's get into helmet stickers here. I'm going to start with Tamarion McDonald. I mentioned it earlier, but that type of tackle that he had on Cade Klubnik gets rules changed for quarterbacks. That's what, like Tom Brady, you would have thought that's what was happening to him every week with all those rule changes that happened over the course of 10 years in the NFL. Guys are not supposed to get hit like that at that position. So shout out to Tamarion McDonald for the physicality. You might have a WWE future ahead of you, buddy. I mean, hey, don't rule it out, man. Football players have made the transition from college football to WWE. Look no further than The Rock, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Hey, Tamarion McDonald might be that next guy. Ja'Cory Brooks did not have the workload that he normally has from a receiving perspective. In fact, the last couple of weeks, you're looking at weeks that were 120, 107, 83, 82. This week, 42 yards. But you showed it on the film earlier. What stood out to me following last week, where he was the leader of this team, was the blocking downfield. I noticed it on numerous occasions for Ja'Cory Brooks, blocking and just keeping plays alive. That wins football games. So shout out to him. Quincy Riley, not one, but two big TFLs in this first half. He had a pass breakup, played arguably, I think, his best game this season. NFL type of performance. Maybe the statistics don't bear that out, but the film does, just with the physicality. And then another one in the secondary, Tayon Holloway. Two pass breakups early in the first half. Aggressive, made plays. He's kind of been up and down this year, coming in for Taz Nicholson and Corey Thornton and Quincy, but he had a great game in this one. Really love it. And then I'm going to just skip down to the bottom here. I told you guys I have so many listed, but I'm going to go and spend a second on this one to Ramon Purrier. 69 games played over the weekend was the total. Tied Yasir Abdullah for the most games played, I believe, maybe in Louisville history or defensive history. I'm not exactly sure what that statistic was, but
I was about to say, like, that's kind of shocking if Malik Cunningham didn't have that record.
I think it might have been defensively, but you got to think Ramon has been playing since his true freshman season.
Yeah, true.
This is his fifth season, and the impact that he has made, it's not the impact that you would see in a the statistic book, although he has 2 touchdowns this year, but it's clogging up holes. It's getting his hand out and slowing a running back down so that somebody else can come up and make a big play on 4th down. It's the little things that matter. And I tweeted this over the weekend, but the 2 guys in my lifetime as an Eastern Eagle that you talk about when you talk about college football, despite the fact that Colin Hoba started for 47 years at Long Snapper, but you talk about Myron Pryor, who went on to play at UK, was ultimately drafted by the Patriots, won a Super Bowl. And then you talk about John Davis. That was a 4 or 5-star running back that went on to play fullback and running back at Illinois. You talk about those guys as the legacies of Eastern high school, but I would put Ramon against those guys every day of the week. The staying power, the longevity for him over 5 years. He never transferred. He could have gone and played at a James Madison or a Morehead State or any of these schools and probably been a star, but he stuck to it. And kudos to the staff that found him. Kudos to the staff that made walk-ons a relevant thing in this program once again, with Marshawn Ford, with the tight ends, with all this group, man. And shout out to Ramon. His effort and his contributions to Louisville should not go unnoticed. And that's not just because I'm an Eastern Eagle, man.
It's pretty cool. Like, to your point, Jacob, I remember watching both those guys as a kid growing up. John Davis in particular, like, I went to all those games watching him and Tanner Evans and Bo Biller, that whole group of guys. Like, that was a fun group of guys to watch. And I remember like hoping and praying John would go to Louisville, but obviously ended up going to Illinois. Yeah. So, I mean, I saw that tweet. I thought it was pretty cool because Ramon, like you said, ended up going to Louisville.
Yeah. We used to give John so much shit because it would be like Notre Dame was in the lobby, Oregon was in the lobby. He had all of these big schools late that got in on him. And every time I'm like, John, Charlie just wants you to stay home. What are you doing? Like, John didn't want to play linebacker. Everybody recruited him as a linebacker. That's why he didn't go to Stanford. That's why he didn't go to Oregon or Notre Dame. He wanted to play tight end and running back. And Charlie was going to give him that opportunity. I just never understood why he didn't go to Louisville.
I know.
5 coaches in 4 years was his total.
Well, if we're giving out more helmet stickers, I'm going to go with Tamarion McDonald. That's the type of tackle that makes leagues change rules, and I love to see it.
T-Mac. T-Mac.
I didn't just read off your shut. Did you see what I did there?
So I had a couple, and it's someone who a lot of people give a lot of flack to.
That was good.
I'm gonna let y'all calm down.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
He read it verbatim. That was.
That was Ron Burgundy.
Is it good? Is it good because it was funny, or because I can read? Are you that surprised that I can read?
Lobo.
Helmet sticker for Vince Lococo for knowing his ABCs.
Yay!
But no, Brock Travelstead. Want to give him a helmet sticker. He easily could have let himself get rattled after missing one early to start the game, but comes out, ends up going 4 of 5 on the game, including 3 kicks from 40 yards or longer. And it takes stones to do that, especially on the road. I did love that prominent Louisville media member, Mike Rutherford, constantly attacks Brock Travelstead's undershirt. So Brock, I don't know how he found it, because Mike didn't say his name in the tweet or anything. He just tweeted after the first miss, "Change your undershirt for the love of God." And you just see Brock in the replies. I can't remember verbatim what he said, but he was basically like, "Thank you to all, and all have a good night."
Yep. No, I love Brock because Brock never gets, like you said, Keith, he never really gets rattled. And I know for a fact them letting him kick that big long one at the beginning of the year that he ended up missing, but we still he made that he made one really long one, but the ones he missed, it's that confidence that Jeff and them have they have the confidence for him to go out there and give it a shot. Like, hey, go do what we brought you in here to do. It's cool. I'm happy to see Brock have the success. Pretty good golf.
So, well, now, while I want to give Brock his flowers, he was not alone in his efforts, because those 3 field goals, he went 3 for 3 after another Herculean effort from one Roman Kelly, who decided not to take his foot off the gas and to hit the 4 Loco. So not just are we providing another helmet sticker, I think this will be my last one, because at this point it's now the expected. Oh God. Is that Tiger Woods' mugshot, or is that Roman Kelly post 4 Loco? So not only is Roman Kelly, this will be the last time we give him a helmet sticker, but I've personally gone out and acquired a custom 4 Loco jersey for one Roman Kelly that should be arriving, if all goes according to plan, before Louisville's next game. So
do you think he'll wear it? Do you think he'll wear it?
I 100% for every one of those videos he puts out, I hope he wears it. So I just want him to wear it to games.
I just hope he doesn't need his stomach pumped.
Yeah.
Let's stop acting like this is 2009 Formula 4 Loco. Okay,
it's just gross.
Fine.
He's not drinking your grandfather's 4 Loco. No, that's right. All right.
Come on.
We need to up it a little bit. Get him some Mad Dog 2020.
Yeah, hey, I can go back to Illinois. Let's get him some Malort.
And that is the time we end the podcast.
Let's transition. It's a bye week for Louisville, the second and final of the season, before they finish with 3 straight, 2 of which on the road. And for Louisville, this bye week, I think, guys, comes at a great time in the season when you talk about some of the injuries that are in existence for the team and some of the guys they've been missing. And speaking of injuries, I don't think you can really talk about this week without mentioning Ben Perry. And I watched that play live, and he got bent up pretty good, but nothing that made you think that he was going to end up on a stretcher and going to the hospital.
Hand up. I was getting a drink during that time period. What exactly? I didn't see it on Twitter. Didn't see anything go on. Like what? I just saw him on a cart with looked like a lower leg injury.
So it was a standard run play. I think maybe on like third down early.
Yeah.
In the game. I actually have it. Let me see if I can pull it up in my notes here. It was on Clemson's third drive, 4th and 1, on a 3-yard conversion, and he made a tackle where it got rolled up in the kind of pile of tacklers and was down, got up, and then immediately fell back down. And initially, it looked like he was pointing at his leg, but I noticed that they were kind of touching on the back of his neck. And then eventually they laid him back down. They brought the stretcher, or they put the neck brace on him, and he walked off, and he was limping, which I thought was kind of weird. And then ultimately, they kind of reported, I would imagine out of precautionary and safety, that he was being taken to the hospital. But just a scary situation when you're talking about neck injury.
That's terrifying.
So
Louisville's had a couple of corners that's happened too.
Well, we've had that. I mean, not to mention, like, stuff like that happens during fall camp all the time where it's not reported, where somebody has an injury like that, and it's labeled as a concussion because it doesn't end up coming back as anything, too crazy. But they always do that. Yeah, they always do the Bordis precautionary stuff. But, I mean, it is absolutely terrifying whenever you see it. That stuff scares the shit out of me every time.
And I think they were so precautious about it and I believe I was reading some reporting today about, like, he had mentioned having some numbness in his legs after it had happened. So, yeah, any situation, I want to give their staff credit, stabilize the neck. The one knock, Dabo, little bit of a look at me, Louis, for you to come out onto the field and go looking at the kid before Coach Brom comes out. Like, a little bit of a look at me, Louis, there.
Dabo.
Dabo doing something to get people to look at him.
Shocker.
I'm shocked.
Shocker. BP in the hospital.
With
the Instagram post of a lifetime of just the LFG with the exclamation points up, looking up at like a monitor. It's
the hospitalized.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's like, you always hear like the stereotypical corny stories of like a player who like gets knocked out and goes to the hospital, and the first thing they ask when they wake up, did we win? And it's like, and every time you see it in like a movie or something, you're like, oh God, come on.
Yeah.
But no, some dudes are just wired that way. So shout out, like the whole way, he was following, which he was able to call his mama on the way there. Always the first thing that happens if you get injured, got to get a hold of mama.
That's the first thing, though. I'm not going to lie. That's the first thing I thought about. Like, you're on the road in Clemson, South Carolina. You're going to go to a hospital. Your team can't go with you. Maybe one doc will go, but like, you're alone. Like, that's the fragility of life. You go from being in the greatest moment, the greatest like football environment, to all of a sudden you're on your own in an ambulance. Like, that's just terrifying, to be completely honest with you. Thinking about that during the game, I thought about like how scary that would be without your parents, without your teammates. Like, you're alone. Like, you have no idea. And thankfully he's okay. But those things like last year with Virginia,
diving into that a little bit. Like, it's the trust that you have with that training staff, man. Like, had tore my ACL twice. I mean, my parents have been in that training room more times than I can count. And it's just that, I mean, it's really is a family in that building. And it's so cool that, like you mentioned stuff like that, Jacob, you feel alone for a split second, but you look over and, you see somebody like Sean Love or one of the other trainers, and you're like, all right, like, I'm going to, at least at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be good. And the next question is, am I going to get to go home tonight? Like, him being able to fly home with the team was what I took out of it being huge.
That's huge. Right. Yeah. So anyways, getting back to my original point, the health of this team, you're going to get back probably, I would assume, and I don't know this for a fact, but likely Mo Turner will be back after the bye week. He's been dressed the last couple of weeks, has not played. I noticed Austin Collins was dressed this weekend, but did not play. So you get Austin Collins back, hopefully. Rashid Miller, I texted you guys this week. I need to freaking get off of Instagram, but I noticed in an Instagram post that his hand was wrapped up in a cast and he was Thanos. I'm thinking to myself, like, fuck, is that a real injury or is that just a toxic? He doesn't play this weekend. So another guy that you got to watch out for from the injury perspective. Ben Perry, Jimmy Callaway, just a couple of the guys that have not been able to get healthy and get on the field consistently. This bye week allows you to rest up. I mean, Keith, you made the comment this past week when we were just kind of chatting, like, these injuries are what you get when you play 7-8 weeks in a row. Like, there's been no rest for Louisville. Thankfully, they've only had, 1 week where they played on a short week. Everything else has been pretty standard Saturday to Saturday, but they can get healthy. You get Mo Turner back, Donald Chaney back. You get all these guys just a little bit healthier, and it gears you up for the final stretch of the season where you're now, as we mentioned, ranked 25th. You have the opportunity to make some noise. Hopefully, SMU will lose. Hopefully, maybe Clemson loses again, and you can climb back into the thick of things at the top of the ACC. And while you're probably not going to make the college football playoff, the hope is that you're going to still make a prominent enough bowl game to where you're going to get these guys to play. Like, that's my worst fear, is we get to a game and Quincy opts out and Ashton opts out and Ja'Cory opts out and Tyler opts out, and we're sitting here looking at what the barren roster looks like. Like, I just want to see meaningful football played. And with 3 games left, you go out and say you beat up Stanford, and then you get a chance to beat a very damn good Pittsburgh team, up and down Kentucky team. That's a strong finish to the season. 9-3 is nothing to sneeze at, man. That's a damn good year. Is it the college football playoff? No, but it's still a damn successful season for Louisville football. So a lot of football to be played. Getting healthy really just puts you in the right place. And so, guys, I'll open up the floor. Last question of the night is kind of, what are your expectations going into the last 3 weeks of the season?
Win out. That's my expectation. Win out. I mean, I know Stanford's a beatable team. I know Pittsburgh's a beatable team, and Kentucky has proven that they show up for the big games. That's the kind of football team that they are. Proved it against Georgia, proved it against Ole Miss, proved it against Tennessee, where they showed up for the majority of that game. I think we handle Stanford pretty handedly. I'm not going to put too much sweat and weight into the whole West Coast going over there, potential jet lag thing. Grab a cup of coffee and go play some damn football. And I think with Pitt being the last home game of the year, that's going to be Pitt. The Pitt game, I'm nervous about it, but I'm not at the same time, because it's at home, because it's the last home game of the year.
Senior night.
All
Reds, baby.
I hate we do that. By the way, I hate that we do that. I wish we could do all red for another thing. Like, it just, I feel like we always lose in the all reds. I don't know. Maybe that's just because we played. Maybe that's just because we played Kentucky the past however many times.
You always get like a 5th-year senior who hasn't scored in 5 years that scores on a pick 6, some shit like that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite day every year.
But win out, man. You got to win out.
Yeah, win out. Yeah,
you have
I think that's fair. And I think that this performance shows you that maybe this team. Yes, 9-3. Yeah, 9-3. There you go. Get those fingers going, counting, man. Yeah, you could read earlier. Now you can count. We could afford. Yeah, we confirmed that.
Been hitting the head a couple times.
But I just, I like this team's chance to finish strong, get these guys into a meaningful bowl game, hopefully late December, early January, and really get yourself set up for the next season. And I know that there's a lot of conversation around recruiting and all of that, but there's still an opportunity here to really put stamp on the season. Keith, what do you think, man? I know your expectation is win out, but what do you think in terms of, is there more to be seen, or do you think, this is kind of the team you're getting?
So the thing that's so infuriating about this team is the game against Clemson is the game that I expected this team to be this year, or at least was optimistically hoping that this team was going to be this year. So it depends, like, what type of team are we coming out of the bye week? If we're the team that plays against Clemson, I'll put us against almost any damn team in the country. Like, we got a puncher's chance against the best of the best. If it's the team that played the first half against Boston College, we're going to be fighting for our life against Stanford. So it's a tough team to get a handle on, because, like, yes, in college football, there's going to be drastic up and down swings. But man, this team is fucking crazy with how up they can get and how down they can play. So like Vince, I think we beat Stanford. Like, that game shouldn't be in question. I get traveling to the West Coast is spooky. Honestly, coming off of a bye week,
not anymore.
If feasible with the class schedule,
it's a daylight savings time too. We get an extra hour of sleep.
That's right. Get them out there. Get them out there in the middle of the week, man. Yeah, get them out there. Let's go.
Yeah,
like it's the England game for the NFL.
Yeah.
Hey, man, look, Stanford's a nice area. I'm sure no one on that team will complain about we're going out to NorCal for half a week. Yeah, like just whatever you got to do. You got to turn around,
sure
come
nobody
back.
on that team would be mad about going to North Cal for a week.
That's right. Well, and you're going to have Jamari and Jaleel and Pierce and all these guys.
Homecoming.
Like, travel up. Right. It's a California homecoming for a lot of these guys. So, yeah, let's go.
So the Pitt game is the one that's still a big question mark to me because SMU fucking stomped a mud hole in their ass and walked it dry.
Yeah.
And I said, like, we're going to learn a lot about this Pitt team over the next 2-3 weeks coming in. Cause like, I thought Syracuse was a great team. That was a weird game, but the Qs just gave Pittsburgh that game. SMU gave them the damn business, but that was a road game in Dallas. So they play Virginia at home, play Clemson at home, and then come into our place. So we'll see. I think we can win that Pitt game because, God, I just want to beat Pitt for revenge for last year. Revenge.
I do too.
I just want a home game so bad right now. Like the fact that I have to wait for 2 more weeks, I literally am itching and jonesing. And go ahead.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. You're jonesing over it. Go.
My last thing I was going to say is like, what are we doing during the bye week? And I wrote in the notes, I'm going to the dark side. Like, guys, basketball season is here this week. Like, I'm so locked into basketball. We have a bye week tomorrow night, Morehead State. Saturday, freaking top 10 Tennessee. I'm going to the Pacers-Knicks game on Sunday, fourth row seats. Let's fucking go, man.
Keith and I are going to get together and watch the entirety of the 2006 football season, and we'll meet you back. We'll meet you back in the summer, and we'll reevaluate. However, but my last thing on this football team in general is I think we're peaking at the right time. You'll hear that talk a lot with a lot of good football teams in the NFL and with teams that, in particular have a playoff type deal to go to, which we do have a playoff type deal to go to, but we're out of that equation right now. But as a football team as a whole, it seems like we could be peaking at the right exact moment to win out and go on a little run here with these last 3 football games.
Yeah. Winning out would be fantastic. 2-1, 8-4 regular season. I would be.
You go 0-3, I break this laptop over my knee.
2-1, I'd be content, not satisfied, but content.
No, I'm not. I need 3-0, and I need the Kentucky win. Like, let's get that monkey off of our backs. This Kentucky team they have had such an up and down season. This is the time to do it. So we got a lot of time to talk through all of that. Still plenty of football to be played. Louisville football in a good spot right now coming off of this victory against Clemson. And so now, guys, we get a chance to get some rest ourselves, heal up our vocal cords. Matt can celebrate his birthday and wear a backwards polo shirt and take bad pictures.
Yeah, happy birthday, Matt.
That's right. Yeah, happy birthday to Matt. His head doesn't need to get any bigger. People wishing him happy birthday all over the internet. Like, be careful what you wish for, guys. That head does go. So, but we'll be back in the next week. No show this week. Later this week, no recap or preview show, unless we want to preview the bye week. I don't know, but we might do some recruiting. Maybe we'll see what happens. I don't know. We got some time. Probably jonesing for some football. But until then, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast from. Jacob Lane, producer Keith, Vincent Lococo. Let's go, man. Go Cards.
Boom! Boom!